Thank you for tuning in to podcast number 20 of NBA Talk with Jaywalk. I'm your host, Jonah Walkenfoos, and today it's going to be a bit of a short podcast because there's not as much stuff to talk about right now in the NBA, but we will be talking about the Olympic Final Four preview and predictions, and then we're also going to be doing an NBA team preview on the Golden State Warriors, so make sure to stay tuned. Okay, so we are down to the final four teams in this Olympic basketball event for the men's side. It is going to be USA versus Serbia on one side and then Germany versus France on the other. So let's first talk about the USA versus Serbia game. Some notable players, obviously the US, I think the most notable players are Steph Curry, LeBron James, and Kevin Durant. And then for Serbia, you've got Micic. I don't know his first name. I didn't really look that up, but he's been playing really well. He's also an NBA player. You've got Bogdan Bogdanovic, and then you have Nikola Jokic. Obviously, we all know who Nikola Jokic is. I personally think this could be a better matchup than a lot of people think. Jokic has been playing very good, which he does anyways in the NBA, but he's playing very, very well, and Bogdan Bogdanovic is just being kind of that complementary player that's going to be able to help take some scoring pressure off of Jokic, as well as Micic, who's helped Jokic a lot with the scoring, and even the playmaking. So I think Serbia is going to be able to hand some pressure to the United States, but overall, I do think the United States will end up pulling this one off. I think the U.S. just has too much star power, and like it's kind of been this whole Olympics with the U.S., I mean, they've just dominated because they have depth. I mean, a lot of these teams from other countries, yes, they have maybe some superstars from the NBA or just some NBA players or NBA talent, but a lot of these other players are playing from overseas and they're just not as talented as, you got some player coming off of the bench for Serbia going against, a player like Anthony Davis, who's most likely going to come off the bench. Like, it's just not a fair comparison, and it's just not a fair matchup. And I think the USA are just overall going to overpower Serbia, but I think Serbia is going to be able to make a run for their money, at least for 3 quarters, in my opinion. But I think the fourth quarter, the US could definitely run away with the win. And then on the other side, we got Germany versus France. I think this is going to be a much better game than the US versus Serbia. Obviously, there's not as much star power on these sides, but they're still really good teams. Like, some notable players on Germany are the Wagner brothers. You got Franz and Mo Wagner. Then you have Dennis Schroeder, who's been incredible for Germany. And then on Team France, some notable players. You got Victor Wembanyama and Rudy Gobert. So this is going to be a fun matchup. I think whoever goes out running is going to win this game. Like, Germany's got to be able to knock their shots down because realistically, attacking against France is not going to be fun when you go to the paint because you've got Rudy Gobert, one of the best shot blockers, and Victor Wembanyama, in my opinion, the best shot blocker in basketball. So I don't know how Germany's going to do this. I think France is going to win this game, but I think it's going to be close. Like, Germany is going to give them a run for their money, and I wouldn't be surprised if Germany wins, but I have to make a prediction. I'm just going to predict France, but I think it could come down to the final buzzer, in my opinion. I think both Germany and France are both very good teams, and I think, obviously, then my matchup would be France versus the United States in the gold medal match, and I think the United States overall will end up winning the gold. I think France will give them a run for their money. I think Wembanyama's going to give either Joel Embiid or Anthony Davis some issues. And I think Gobert's going to be able to hold his ground against those players as well. It's just a matter of how are they going to guard the perimeter players? How are they going to guard Steph Curry, Devin Booker, Jason Tatum, Kevin Durant, LeBron James? Like, it's just an ongoing list of just players that's like threats to the offense or threats to the defense, should I say. But I think the USA is going to win gold, and I think it's going to be USA versus France in the finals. Let me know what you guys think down below. Believe it or not, this is the last topic of this episode. Like I said, it's just going to be a shorter episode, just kind of a filler episode, just trying to figure out what to talk about as the NBA season's kind of in that dead period. But we're going to keep doing these NBA team previews. We're getting through them. I don't know if I'm going to do these next year, just because I don't know if you guys really enjoy these, but I'm going to talk about them anyways because I got to finish what I started. So today we're going to be talking about the Golden State Warriors. They finished the season with a record of 46-36, and they finished 10th in the Western Conference, which, in my opinion, the Western Conference just dominated this last year. I mean, you look at it. The Warriors were 10 games above 500, and they finished 10th in the West. Like, that is very impressive, to say the least. So, yeah, I think the Golden State Warriors had a decent season. I mean, getting 10 games above 500 with only basically Steph Curry as your, like, only main scorer, it's pretty impressive. But let's talk about some of the players they lost. So the key player they lost, and the only person I really put on this, was Klay Thompson. The second half of the Splash Brothers is gone now. They are split up. Klay Thompson is he's heading to the Dallas Mavericks. Congratulations to Klay Thompson, by the way, and just for having such a successful career in Golden State. Who knows if he's ever going to come back? I highly doubt it. And I think he definitely could bring some championship level mentality to that Dallas Mavericks team. But let's talk about some of the players they gained. Let's not just look at the negative. Let's look at some of the positives. They gained Buddy Hield, who is an excellent shooter, 40%. He's 40+% career three-point shooter. He's an excellent player, and I think he's going to be able to fit alongside Curry and the Warriors' scheme. They also added DeAnthony Melton, a player who was on the New York Knicks. He really wasn't playing at all for the Knicks, so this is just a good move. I think it's a pretty good team-friendly deal, and he's a player that I think he can prove himself, and I think he could be a solid 3-and-D player in this league. And then they also added Kyle, Mr. Slow-Mo Anderson, from the Timberwolves. Kyle Anderson is going to be that guy that's going to be able to kind of play that Draymond Green role off of the bench, or they could definitely start him too. Kyle Anderson is a great playmaker as a forward. He's kind of like a point forward to me. Not the best shooter, but overall, he's not really a scorer type of player. He's more of I'm going to fit whatever the team needs me to do, and I'm going to do it. And that's what Steve Kerr will appreciate a lot about Kyle Anderson. So, some of the key players on this Golden State Warriors team is Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Brandon Podziemski, Jonathan Kuminga, Andrew Wiggins, and Trace Jackson Davis. I could have named some other players, but these are like the core players that I'm looking at. Like, these are valuable players. Andrew Wiggins, honestly, debatable at this point. I think his contract is a lot worse than how he performs. I think after that championship run, he kind of just fell off a cliff, and we don't know what happened. Like, there's been a lot of personal things, so I don't want to get into that too deep, but I don't know. Like, I think this Golden State Warriors team, they have a lot of potential. Like, this is a good Warriors roster overall because you have Stephen Curry. But now I think you need to trade for another star to keep Stephen Curry happy, to keep him around Golden State, and to take advantage of having Curry. Like, you have the greatest shooter of all time on your team. Don't waste this man's prime. He's technically still kind of in a prime. I mean, he's definitely, slowing down a lot, but he's still playing well. Give him a star. I mean, I know they were talking about trading for Lauri Markkanen and stuff. That didn't happen. And then now they're not even interested in two stars that are on the trade market at almost a very low, all-time low value in Brandon Ingram and Zach LaVine. I mean, for goodness sakes, the Bulls will give you Zach LaVine. All you have to do is just give back a bag of potato chips and you'd get him. The only reason why people don't want him is because of his contract and just he hasn't contributed to winning. Well, he's been the number one option on every single team he's played for, essentially. And that's not a good thing. Zach LaVine's not a number one option on a team. He's a number 2 or a number 3. You put him alongside Steph Curry, he will fit so well. I mean, the way he can just do a back cut, how athletic he is, him and Steph Curry and Draymond Green will just have so much fun playing with Zach LaVine just because of his athleticism, and he can shoot the ball very well. He just hasn't been healthy these last few seasons, but he's had surgery, he's been recovering, and I think he's going to be a good player this year. So, I don't know, like Zach LaVine would be that guy, and they don't have to get rid of anything. Like I said, you could get rid of the value of a potato chip and get Zach LaVine in return. So, I don't know. I don't know why they haven't pulled the trigger on that. I don't know what's holding them back. Like, this is a good move, and if they wait, Zach LaVine or Brandon Ingram's value could just go up because they play well in the season. So this could be a big mistake if the Warriors don't look to trade for one of them. But overall, I think the Warriors, I think they're going to be a play-in team again. I don't think they're going to be a great, I don't think they're going to be this surprising team that's just going to come out of the West and look dangerous. I think they're just going to be a middle of the pack, if not kind of lower tier Western Conference team this year. So yeah, that's my take on the Golden State Warriors and their upcoming season. So that's going to be the end of this episode of today's podcast of NBA Talk with Jaywalk. This was podcast number 20. I can't believe we've already gotten there. It's kind of crazy, but I'm just so thankful for every single one of you supporting me and just helping me continue to push through this. And I hope you guys have a great week. God bless.